go. Loren, welcome to the Beyond Tax Season podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's create something special for that firm owner that has achieved success but feels stuck, know there's something more, and doesn't know exactly what to do first. But it seems like pricing seems to be a great place for them to start. And that's your specialty, right?
Absolutely. First of all, Trow, I am so looking forward to digging into this conversation with you and making sure that we add value to whoever's joining us today.
Great. So you've been around the block. You've been in this ecosystem, if you will, back, what was it, when QBO first came around?
I don't know about that long. I've been doing this since 2009.
Okay. And what were you doing before that?
Actually, I was doing sports psychology.
Oh.
So I've always loved business, and I was doing two businesses. So I was doing business coaching as well as sports psychology, and I burned out from having two businesses, and I saw the price that my family paid with me working long hours and not being available. And that's when I decided to put the sports psychology on a back burner and really dig into the business coaching.
Wow, that is so cool. So you bring a tool set that a lot of coaches haven't developed, because you get inside their heads.
Well, I believe that whatever you think influences what you choose to do or what you choose not to do. And that a lot of times as a business owner, there's so many similarities between athletes that want to be top of their game and business owners who want to have a successful firm that they run instead of one that runs them.
So how does pricing fit into that?
There's a lot of stuff that people have around money, and some people have a way of looking at it as a positive thing. Other people, they have some negative beliefs around money, and that those beliefs, whether they're cultural, whether they're things that we developed over experience, or whether they might even be religious and spiritual, influence how we operate our business, what we choose to charge, how we charge our fees, how we talk about it, how we avoid talking about it. So money is something that, even though it's neutral, it's not good or bad, we bring our beliefs to it, and that influences how we charge for our services. And I will let you know, Tro, from all the years I've been working with people, what I've seen is that business owners who have low confidence tend to have low rates, and business owners who have very strong confidence tend to have higher rates.
How do we help the former population?
Well, both can benefit from it. Let's just go there, because there's always room for improvement, and that's true for all of us. What I would say is that when you're looking at changing, you have to first acknowledge that you have a problem, or that this is an issue for you. What you're doing isn't sustainable. And then what happens is we start to do research. We look at what some of the things are out there as far as options to make sure that we really do have a problem, and maybe what solution might work best for us. And then we start to hopefully get out of the research stage, which is where a lot of people get stuck, and we get into the action stage and start making some changes. Maybe you try going from an hourly rate over to a fixed fee. Maybe you eventually try value pricing, but it doesn't work. And it's about trial and error, and probably realizing that this gets very, very messy. And if you tend to be risk adverse, it's going to challenge your limits. So you can move forward. You have to be willing to make the change and step out of your comfort zone to do that.
You know, you tripped across something that I think is so important to get out in the open, and that is the commitment to change. It has to be more than just a desire. It has to be a burning commitment.
There's a difference between firm owners who are interested in making a change and ones who are committed.
Mm.
And there's nothing wrong with either one. If you're interested, you'll start moving forward until maybe you make a mistake or somebody pushes back, and then you go back to how things always were. You quit, you don't pursue it as soon as there's some type of resistance. But if you're fully committed to change, then you continue moving forward. No matter what, you work through the obstacles, you find alternatives, you make adjustments, but you're really very, very keen on making a change and doing something differently than you have up until now. Even when there might be some pushback or some mistakes that happen, you are willing to adapt and keep on moving forward anyway. So once again, neither one is right or wrong. And there's things with every single one of us as firm owners where we're interested in some things and we're committed to others.
We're talking about being committed to pricing. And how do we get people? I shouldn't say get people. How do we help those go from interested to committed?
What I find is that depending on the firm owner, some need a lot of hand-holding to go through this process because it takes courage, not confidence, to do this. And others just need direction and then they're good to go. So it's really about working with the firm owner and how to be able to help them move forward in a way that is sustainable instead of them just adapting to my process and maybe it suits them and maybe it doesn't. So that's the first thing. And then what needs to happen is becoming aware of maybe where the resistance is or where some of the concerns are, and being able to discuss alternative ways of looking at it, being able to give them a process. Because what I see with so many firm owners, Trow, is that they want to move forward with changing their rates and the prices that they charge. They just don't know how. So they need the steps to be able to make that change. And once again, some of them need more hand-holding and assistance with it, and others, they just need the steps to move forward, and then they can implement on their own.
Got it. So I'm going to ask you the how, because one of my biggest peeves with some of these podcasts is that they talk up here, but they don't help people. What is the actual thing? So I'll give you a how that I've experienced from my clients hiring. I don't know if you know Profitable Partners, Rob Nixon. Wendy Miller comes in and says, well, just raise your prices 50% and keep track of who you lost. That's one way to do it.
That really doesn't work. So I think the first thing is to recognize that there's 3 different types of pricing that firm owners are likely to follow. The very first one, which is the traditional hourly rate.
Mm-hmm.
You track your hours, you know your hourly rate, and then you're going to send an invoice and get paid in arrears. The
Mm-hmm.
second one is that you're tired of tracking hours and you shift over to a fixed fee, but it's still based on about how many hours you think you're going to be working for that client. And then the third one, which is gaining a lot of traction and there's a lot of talk around it, is value pricing. And value pricing is different from the other two, where instead of basing it on time and operational costs, maybe a little bit of profit margin, you're now looking at value from the client's point of view, how they benefit, what's a priority to them, and helping them with implementing the solutions so that they can move forward. So you're pricing the client, not the work. It is messy, and it's not quite as much of a clean formula as the traditional hourly rate is. So the way to be able to move forward, and I'm going to give 2 different ways to be able to consider this. What I do with my clients is we have a 5-step process. And the very first one is understand the difference between your low value clients and your quality clients, because we want to fill your firm with those higher quality clients. And we need to understand what it is that makes someone a better fit for your firm. So that's the very first thing. The second thing is how to be able to have that conversation, talking about the value that you're able to bring to them and the benefits of them engaging your services, so that you have the right words that have them want to continue moving forward with you or engaging your services if it's someone new. The third thing, which is really important, is about getting away from the a la carte laundry list of all the different services that you offer and moving over to packages. So packages is really the first thing that separate your fees from time and allow you to start to implement value price, because you're no longer now focusing on any one task that you're doing and your workflow. You're now enrolling someone into an outcome that is benefit driven to the client. And that is very aligned with client-centered firms. And I know you want to make a comment, so give me one
No,
second.
I was just putting an exclamation point on that. That would be outcome based.
Yes, outcome based, and I do this with all my clients. I can create a package for anything. So the next thing is about value pricing. Now, this is where they make a mistake. They come up with their packages. They're still calculating time on the back end to come up with the pricing for that. We don't want to do that. When we go over to value pricing, we can actually increase your rates by 2 to 3 times. And I will give you the steps in a moment. And then number 5 is what I call consultation mastery, where you want to be able to have those conversations that you're asking questions where they see the value and they naturally ask, how do we move forward? So those are the 5 steps that I take my clients through: is the quality clients, communicate value, packaging your services, value pricing, and consultation mastery. Do you mind if I now give the exact steps on how to start value pricing your services?
Now, Lauren, you're just cementing the idea that intelligent or knowledge is infinite. So I love your open sharing, and I look forward to having a little peek into that conversation where you're maybe have a little bit of an uncomfortable conversation, an emotional conversation, like, what would this mean to you if you get it? What would it mean to you if you don't get it? Or do you get to that level and you're talking with the client and teasing out the value to them?
What my feeling with working with my clients is that time is important and they want to implement, and they don't want me to ask all these strategic questions about pie in the sky stuff, and then they need to figure it out on their own. So I work with my clients to be able to give them so they can implement as quickly as possible. And what I do is, if they don't really understand the value from the client's perspective, I help them to really understand how the client benefits. And then we can go ahead and revise and create it into questions. That way, when they're meeting with a client, they can add these questions into the consultation, whether it's a new client consultation or getting an old legacy client up to your new rates. They know how to structure the conversation so it's value focused.
Well, and that's what I was trying to talk about. It's my bad that I didn't communicate that better. But the accountant, the CPA, the EA, whatever, the finance professional talking to their client, that's a real skill to help the client express the value and match.
Yes. And because it might not be their skill set that they learned, what I do is I have a lot of resources to give them templates, scripts, and we come up with one that is unique to their firm and fits their firm, so that they can now meet with their clients and they have the questions already laid out. They might not need to go through every single question with everyone, but this is something that gives them a template, and to realize that it's an evolution. Even though we come up with the initial template, maybe they're going to ask a brilliant question that's not on there. Add it to the template so that you keep on building on it and getting a better result.
Got it. So I interrupted the 5 steps. Now let's go deeper.
Did you want to hear how to actually shift over to value pricing if you're doing this on your own?
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
you said there's been a lot of talk recently, but Ron Baker started this charge, if you will, in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that may be the year I got out of college, but it's 90, 2000, 10, 20. That's 45 years ago. And
Mm-hmm. And now he's talking more about offering subscriptions as opposed to value pricing, which is a little bit different, but I don't want to go into that right now. I want to be able to give how to be able to make the shift over to value pricing. So think about it like you're first learning how to ride a two-wheel bicycle. In the beginning, you need some training wheels and you're going to be a little bit off balance. You might even fall over and skin your knees. So moving this direction is going to be a little bit shaky at first until you start to get your balance with it. This is what I call the good, better, best pricing model. And what happens is you're going to have someone new coming to you. I want you to come up with what that original fixed fee would be that you would have charged for the work. And then I want you to now give them your new good rate. This is taking that original fixed fee, multiplying it by 1.5. I want you to enroll 3 people at your new good rate because this gives you some evidence that people aren't quite as price sensitive as you thought that they were. After you enroll those 3 people, we're going to go up to tier 2, which is your new better rate. People will come to you, come up with that original fixed fee. Now we multiply it by 2x. This means that you're now charging double what you previously would have earned, no additional time spent working. Enroll 3 people at that new better rate. As a result of this, you're getting better at having that value conversation during the consultations, and you realize that you're starting to work with a better quality client who is actually responsive and engaged. After you enroll those 3 people, we go up to the top tier, which is your new best rate. And once again, when work is coming to you, come up with that original fixed fee. Now we're going to multiply it by 3x. You are now earning 3 times more, no additional time spent working than what you were originally charging for that same work. As a result of that, you don't need as many clients, and this gives you some time back so you can either focus on business development, adding in advisory services, or maybe just taking back some of that personal time so that you can take care of yourself and be available to do some fun things in your life again. So that is how to move away from an hourly rate over to value pricing, is going through the good, better, best pricing model. And at some point, you might want to take your best rate, bring it to the bottom, and recalibrate and go through it all over again.
wow. How long do you find it takes for that progression from good, what is it? Good,
Good, better, best.
good, better, best, till there's a high enough proportion of best that they like wake up one day and say, where'd all this money come from in my bank account? How come I'm not here late on a Friday? How long does that transition normally take?
It depends on whether they are DIY and doing it themselves or whether they're doing it with me. If they're doing it themselves, it could be quite a while because this is something that takes courage, and the confidence comes as you're going through the process and you start to get the yeses. And if you are someone that is committed and continue to move forward, it could happen rather quickly. And with my clients, because I'm doing it with them, we can implement this in less than 45 days. So it can happen very, very quickly because I'm open to hand holding and going through the reservations and giving them the scripts and the templates, and I do it with them.
So who do they offer this to? New clients or legacy clients? How does that work?
It depends on the firm. I will say that if you still have capacity, then my suggestion is start with new clients coming in. 75% of my clients are starting with new clients because they still have capacity and can accept new clients. The other 25% that are at capacity, we're going to start with their legacy clients and get them up to their new rates and packages. And then as room opens up, then we can bring new clients in at the packages. So once again, it depends on your firm and what capacity level you're at. Of course, it's easier with new clients coming in because they don't know what things were like before, whereas there will be a little bit more resistant and the conversation is a little bit different with current clients because people don't like change than it is with new clients coming in. But we want to get everybody up to your new rates. We don't want to just have the new clients be at your new rates and you leave the legacy clients alone.
That sounds like an interesting conversation to have with the legacy clients. I can see new because they don't have anything to compare against. So how do you broach that subject? How do you have that first conversation? Hey, things are changing.
Mm-hmm. The way that my clients do this is we're first sending out a letter, and they're getting a letter that is not justifying. Don't make that mistake of justifying, oh, my expenses have raised, I have more operational costs, I'm passing it on to you, because that feels like punishment. What we want to do is send out a client letter, a client-centered letter, which is aligned with how you're probably working with your clients anyway, about how you're making some changes in order to better serve your clients. And we want to send that out first. And then we can either do it all by email. And I've had clients that have transitioned everybody in one lump sum within like 30 to 60 days with one email. So some people do it with email. And then a lot of my clients, they'll send out that letter and then they'll have individual conversations with their clients. And they'll go through the process that way, one by one, so that it is more of a marathon where you work, you're moving certain clients over at a time, as opposed to the sprint where you're doing it very quickly.
So what size of clients can you do it by email versus the size of the relationship is a better way to say it, that almost demand a meeting?
Well, with one of my clients, Carmen, we did it right before tax season. So we started talking about this in October. And by January 1st, she had all of her clients enrolled into packages at her new prices. And she retained over 90% of her clients. So she took everybody and just did it all by email. And then I've had others that are doing the conversations, and it takes a little bit longer to do it that way. What I will say is, because this is a process and they're going through a system, they can expect to retain 82 up to 100% of their clients by following this system. And the ones who leave Trow are the ones that you see.
Exactly, you want them to live
anyway.
Yeah, you wanted to lose them anyway. I've heard one guideline was every time we get an A client, I get to go back to my team and which B client do we want to fire?
I call that one in, one out.
Right. That's well, Loren, this is amazing. I don't know what else we could give. What else could we give now to I've got a client, I won't use her name on tape, but she says, I got to do something. What could we give her to say, look, give Loren a call. The worst thing that's going to happen is that you know there's a path, but you chose not to take it. What do we tell those folks to say it's worth having that first conversation at a minimum?
Well, the first thing is, if somebody's interested in starting to package their services and raise the rates, they want to do the good, better, best, then I do have a free resource at businesssuccesssolution.com/package. Go ahead, grab it, and you can see for yourself what the process looks like. That's the first thing. And if somebody wanted to have a further conversation with me, they can reach out to me and go to businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk. And I'm happy to have a conversation with them about how to be able to increase their revenues, be able to work with higher quality clients, and get back some of their personal time so that they're not going to be on the path to burnout any longer.
And that, perfect, thank you. And that is really the overall goal, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, my feeling is it's not about the money. The money is important, but this is about if you make the move in this direction, how does it improve your quality of life or the quality that you can deliver to your clients as a result of that? So money is important, but there's usually something behind it that has the meaning of why you want to move in this direction.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I think this is going to be an awesome session because it had nuts and bolts, and that's what people need. They need to know that there is a path forward. Right. Well, thank you very much. I look forward to potentially having like advanced sessions. We'll do this again and say, here's the next level. But thanks a lot, Loren. And I will make sure that everybody has the ability to grab that resource and get in touch with you.